Hey everyone, welcome and welcome back here to my channel where I play PineHut Zoo. My name is Nissa and today we have a lot to do. Basically, we're gonna make a 3-in-1. So we're gonna build, or 4 actually, we're gonna build the rest of the building that went up yesterday, which were the snow leopard building. But we finished the snow leopard, so now we have the rest of the building, which would be the Siberian Tiger and the Arctic fox. And then we also gonna make a little food corner over here, so I hope you're ready for that. I will say though, I did just make PineHut Zoo is pre-recorded for before the last update, so therefore there may be something here that I would have done differently if I had all of the new props, and maybe not, so therefore keep that in mind. However, I did this Saturday put up a triple fox house with the Arctic, the red, and the fennec fox, which were a completely different build than this. So if you want to see something different, that video is over there. This is more like a practical build, a more like this is how it would have been in a zoo over time. As I mentioned yesterday, again, the voiceover isn't pre-recorded, but the footage is. But basically, as I said, these habitats are meant to be more realistic in the way that maybe back in the 70s, 80s, the animals would only have the house here to live in, and then over time you would have become more knowledgeable about what animals actually need, so therefore they would have a bit of a bigger habitat and then a bigger habitat. So the Arctic fox are only gonna have an indoor habitat, which again is what they would have in the 80s, but I figured back then it would have been a bigger animal living there than is now, so they swapped up a bigger animal for the Arctic fox that is way smaller, and therefore the size fits better. And with the tigers, we're gonna do here the same that we did with the snow leopard, so they will have like the house where their original home, and then we made the overpass so they could get a little corner over here, which will be the first corner you can see when we start building it. And then they got a more like lush planted area later on than would be the part closest to the food corner. Anyway, I think I have a few viewers for different reasons. Some of you want to learn about the animals, and some of you want to see the habitat, and some of you want both. I just want to mention, I will still talk about the Arctic fox today, but because I made that this Saturday, I will focus more on the Siberian tiger. We should also have plenty of time for the Arctic fox, but it won't be the exact same things that we talked about this Saturday, because that was more a comparison between foxes, and this is more like only the Arctic fox. So therefore it won't be exactly the same. So therefore, if you are here about the knowledge, feel free to still be here, of course. Also, if you just want to waste your time with something you don't want to see, then you're also free to be here. Basically, I don't discriminate against anyone on my channel. Everyone is welcome, as far as you are not mean to either me or people in the comments. But before we get too much into it, I just want to mention, the other day I made the voiceover for the snow leopard, and half an hour after that I reached 100 subscribers on this channel, and I'm so happy about it. The thing is though, that because this I took a few days off this channel to work on my second channel, which is Nissamon, where I play Pokemon. In between these few days, I reached not 100 subscribers, but 105. So once again, I know I said these things before, but thank you so much. It's so much more than I ever thought would use their time on this. So yeah, it's amazing for me, but it's also amazing to think about how many people actually care about these beautiful creatures around the world. And I'm so happy I can be a part of teaching people about these beautiful creatures, because it was one of my favorite things to do when I was a child. Reading about animals or seeing animals, watching documentaries about animals. Again, I know I'm not the right one to build a documentary. I leave that to the professional, but it means so much to be a part of this, introducing people to all of these weird and wonderful facts about all of these weird and wonderful animals. So yeah, just thank you so much for allowing me to do that. And yeah, I hope you're gonna stay around, because I don't feel like I'm done with it yet. So yeah, let's see where the journey takes us. But for now, 105 people, thank you so much. I actually had a little issues about finding the information I wanted to tell you about the Siberian Tiger. And I was a little bit confused, because I actually thought I had made a video on them before, but that may have been the other tiger, the you know which one I mean from the game. But the thing is, though, I can't really find much about them. I saw something about extinction and maybe not extinction and different kind of things that way, which wasn't what I wanted to hear, basically. So I took a step back and decided what I then wanted to do, and I decided on using the websites I know, Animalia.bio, which always give me good information. But I still decided to then go with the tiger, because they have a few different tigers in here, but they don't have the Siberian tiger. So I decided to work with tigers, all of the tigers. There will of course be a little bit of differences between subspecies, but a lot of the information will be the same. So I rather give you real information than information where I'm not really sure, because I don't know the websites at all. So I hope you're okay with that. At the same time, a lot of zoos this way would have gone with a lot of different kind of tigers. I did this because it liked the snow and we are in a Taiga Zoo, but basically we also have lions with outdoor habitats in Denmark. Tigers that lives outside in Denmark. So they can survive, of course, a lot of them, and a lot of them, even though they aren't exactly ice tigers, they can actually take a fair amount of cold. So I feel like a lot of zoos would just have gone with the tigers they could get a hold on, and not necessarily the ones that fits best in with the environment. But overall, tigers are not only the biggest cat in the world, but also have one of the most iconic designs. It have a orangey color that isn't always color, but the thing we think about with tigers would normally be this orangey color, but it can also vary to a pale yellow, a more brownish color, or anything in between that. And so can the stripes, which both can be again a black color, which is normally, I think, every child painting a tiger make the stripes black. They can also be gray or a darker brown. Again, varies from subspecies to subspecies. As the same does the size of them, but overall they are massively big compared to other cats. The different subspecies of tigers range over a very big area in Asia, but only in Asia. These places would be more specifically like Bangladesh, Bhutan, China, India, Indonesia, Laos, Malaysia, Myanmar, Nepal, Russia, and Thailand. And a lot of these places have their own local subspecies, but some subspecies also live in quite a few countries. And just like they live in different countries, they also live in different biomes. They, however, mostly live in two climate zones, which would be the tropical and temperate. Again, very individual subspecies can vary a little bit. The Siberian, for instance, can live a little bit colder than just temperate, but the majority of tigers live in tropical and temperate climate zones. For biomes, they are mostly seen in forest, rainforest, mountain forest area, but they also live in riparian areas, scrublands, and grasslands, which would be way more vulnerable for a tiger to be in since it's so much more open. And the entire design of a tiger is to be hidden in between a lot of foliage, which can appear on grasslands and scrublands, but not as often as they of course do in foresty areas. Now, when it comes to food for the tigers, of course, again, it will be more individual based on where they actually are and what is unavailable. But it is mainly sambar deer, water buffalo, wild pigs, and antelopes. And they will also sometimes hunt like sloth bears, dogs, monkeys, hares, leopards, pythons, and crocodile. But again, it would make the most sense for them to eat deer, buffalo, pigs, and antelope. It's big prey that isn't that dangerous to hunt. A lot of the smaller animals won't keep them fed as well, and some of these animals are also, even though the tiger is bigger, stronger, and can kill these animals, they can still hurt them. And remember, they are not going to the vet, so a claw mark accidentally the wrong place can over time kill a tiger, even though it wasn't. I would never do that in a zoo, for instance, where you have the vets. They do, however, also choose both their lifestyle and their hunting grounds based on these preys. For instance, most tigers are most active at night. They can be active every time of the day, like the house cat. You're never gonna know when they're sleeping, when they're awake, basically. But tigers do mainly wake up at night because that's the easiest time to catch their prey, and they will also normally choose to hunt in a forest, not because they want all of the plants necessarily, but because they don't have the advantages that other cats do. The cheetah is extremely fast and therefore can run up to a lot of animals on an open savanna. The lions works in a group and therefore they can get around a animal and trick it, hopefully. And leopards will be able to actually crawl around and catch animals in the trees. Tigers have some other advantages. Again, they are bigger, they are stronger, but they are also more clumsy. So they need somewhere where they can hunt on a very short distance, but overman the prey basically with that giant size, and this is what the forest can offer them. Again, they can also live in more open areas where it will be more difficult for them to eat, and the food source will also be more sparingly in these areas. And when it comes to the future of the tiger, it seems like its biggest threat is basically us humans. When we look at what actually are the reason why a lot of subspecies of tigers numbers are declining, it is the very basic things. We are destroying their habitat, their home. We are fragmenting these habitats so the tigers can't really mate with each other and get closer to each other because we want a big road in the middle. We also poach them, both legal and illegally. A lot of places mostly illegal. And then they are basically victims of the human-wildlife conflict, which is more an issue places where the density of humans are very, very big. But it is basically either the tigers get too close and frighten humans, but it could also be like they eat the livestock of the humans, or something the humans want to hunt in the forest. There's a lot of reasons, and basically if you had a tiger living next door to you, you would probably also be a little itchy and want to have a rifle in the house just to make sure. Overall, as a species, the tigers are critical in danger. Sorry, not critical, they are just endangered. they are endangered and that's bad. But that's the taiga overall. When we go in and look at the numbers on the individual species, keep in mind that tigers as the entire group is only 3,000 to 4,500 individuals. Therefore, the subspecies is much lower. The biggest population will be the Bengal tiger, which is around 2,000. And next we have the Indonesian tiger with 750 to 1,300 individuals. The Siberian tiger, which is the one we built for here, only have 450 individuals or so, and around the same has the Sumatran tiger. The Malayan tiger has 600 to 800 individuals, which is a little bit better, but all of these individual subspecies suffers a lot, and this is where I ask the question, would it be better just to mix the races and just have tigers grow in number, or would it be better to try and really work to keep the line clean, or the bloodline clean, so you have clear individual subspecies, but then may lose a few of them on the way because you basically don't have enough individuals to keep them breeding. I also know a few zoos that actually refuse to breed their tigers because they don't want the next generation of tiger to suffer at the hands of men. Again, for instance, Knuthenborg Safari Park in Denmark have tigers that all comes from not only zoos but circuses and have been kitty cats for petting zoos and this kind of stuff earlier. So they just want these tigers to be able to live out their natural life in as good as place and possible, and then they don't want to breed them. I leave the question up to you. What would you think the right action would do to save the tigers moving forward, or focus in other ways? And that's all I wanted to tell you about the tigers today. As always, link will be in the description below. So if there's anything you want to read up on, check out, did I actually quote something right, or did I just miss things up here? You can do that with the links below. And I did plan to tell you a little bit about the Arctic fox, but basically I don't have a lot of time to do that. So link will also of course be in the description, so I applaud you to go and read a little bit yourself, but let's see how much time we have to just go over a few things. When we talk about the Arctic fox, a lot of us picture this beautiful white little very rounded fox with small ears, small limbs, but overall a really small, round, fluffy, a little bit bear looking, honestly, fox. And that's also right, and it's also right that they live in the snow, but they also live other places. Again, more specifically, they live in Alaska and Greenland. If you don't know, Greenland is under the Danish crown, so it's technically a part of Denmark. They also live like Canada, Finland, Ireland, Norway, Russia, Sweden, and United States. So they live quite a few places, but they don't only live icy places. They do live in the polar climate zone, but the polar climate zone changes a little bit through the year. So in the winter they will live in these beautiful ice caps, but through the summer they will both change their fur to a darker grayish brown color. Very beautiful also, not the same texture at all, but it's still beautiful. And then they live in these mountainous rocky areas where they will be more camouflaged by the dark color and not the light color that they spot in the winter. Over time they had a few issues, for instance that basically the poles are pulling back, they are becoming smaller and smaller, and therefore a lot of places that earlier have been inhabited by the Arctic fox now are inhabited by the red fox instead. This makes sense. A lot of places like the rounded places, for instance Finland, Ireland, Iceland, Norway, Russia, Sweden, United States, where they can come up from the south, but every single island place they can't. So therefore, there are two things that can happen in the future. Either they will lose their foxes, for instance, on Greenland, or the Arctic foxes will have to change over time. They won't be intruded on in any way by the red fox, but their living conditions will change over time, and we will see if the animal will be able to change fast enough or if they will go extinct, which you know which one I'm rooting for. It is very hard to actually give a number on the Arctic foxes, especially because they live a lot of places where they don't live that many humans, so who should count them? But the adult population size in Norway, Sweden, and Finland seems to be around 200 individuals. What may help a lot is that over time the beautiful Arctic fox also have become a domesticated animal. I didn't know this. But for instance, in Russia, it can be very, very like a fashionable pet to have around, and I kind of want one now. Therefore, at this point, they are a least concerned animal, but again, it doesn't mean that this can change over time, so I do believe we still have to protect them, especially since the global warming are doing such a big job of ruining their home. Anyway, now enjoy the rest of the cinematics, and I will be back afterwards. Okay, I hope this angle is good enough, guys. I couldn't figure out how to make this all work the way I wanted it to work. So yeah, or the picture here. It's hard to show everything off here because we have multiple angles here that the guest would come from, and as always, I build my habitat so it makes sense for the guests from a viewpoint, and so the animals like to be there, of course, also, but the viewpoint will always be the guest. So yeah, I know this isn't the most flashy picture you can get of it, but hopefully you saw something good in the cinematics. Uh, yeah, you know the drill, guys. Like, subscribe, and turn on the bell notification so you know the next time I upload a video. I really hope to see you again, either in the comments below or in the next video. Bye, guys.